Okay, the second set just finished, and now it's a 1-1 situation. So, you know, things seem pretty tight right now. And Gen.G actually subbed in Haru this time around. And the community is praising Haru for his exceptional performance this game. Okay, let's look at the highlight and see what happened. You know, in the recent patch, the jungle changed a lot and the jungle passing really was affected a lot. So, you know, the Nocturne was actually going for 3 jungle camps because he needs to hit level 6 fast. And Camille here tried to get the Scuttle Crab and then suddenly changed to going to the mid lane. And Kingzone was damaged heavily in the early game, losing control. And BDD actually flashed after getting hit by Camille V. You know, BDD could have just flashed earlier, but that didn't happen. You know, the jungle's early passing really affects the game a lot these days. So Haru really exploited the enemy's weakness in this game. You know, after that, Kingzone, they had the room to make a turnaround, but they just couldn't. Yeah, let's look at the highlight this time. You know, over here, they're fighting, they're contesting for the Rift Herald, and Darius is just far back over there. And then Haru just goes in aggressively on Prey, and then Prey gets deleted. And then things just fall apart for Kingzone. And then Darius just couldn't get the right ult off. You know, Darius just couldn't do anything over there. And then Aurelion Sol gets caught, and Shen dies, and it's just a 5 versus 1 trade. You know, Darius could have just done a lot more there, but you know, he just couldn't. And the Mordekaiser actually just got caught and couldn't do anything before he died. You know, Haru and Cube really played exceptionally there, and that led to Genji's success. They're very concentrated in their plays. So in the community, a lot of the people are praising Gen.G for their performance right now. In the subtitles, people are saying that this time around, the conservative composition actually beat the progressive composition with the traditional ADCs. And now we only have 1 set to decide the outcome. This time, the traditional ADC came out on top. You know, a lot of people are wanting to see those traditional ADCs back in professional scene. And that's the end of the interview.
Thank you very much, Andy, and welcome back, guys, to LCK 2018 Summer. MVP is going to go to Haru. Man able to get back-to-back ganks in the early game, which equated to Ruler being basically a one-man wrecking crew.
Was worried the voting committee would be blinded by the big numbers from Raw. The bling sometimes blinds the voters, but Haru was the one who decided this game. The double gank they showed in the little interview segment we now have between games at OGN was really the decider of this game. Let's see it one more time. This is where all your hopes and dreams are extinguished. If you are a Kingzone fan, 1 gank, that's fine, but 2 ganks onto both the points of power. The roaming Aurelion Sol and the bot lane that was supposed to push. Well, from there, Haru's level 5, getting 2 kills on a turret dive, and goodbye, Kingzone DragonX.
Yep, just wasn't very many options for them, and I want to bring up what actually was spoken about in that interview as we watch these highlights once again, because I think it's very relevant that the flash didn't come out early from the Aurelion Sol. Not a lot of respect coming in for Haru from BDD, which may have actually spelt the tip over point of that particular snowball, because he flashed anyway.
Definitely wasn't the finest moment of BD's career. I think actually, honestly, it was a pretty bad game on Aurelion Sol. Now, when your bot lane can't have pressure and you died in mid lane, if you start roaming in die, then you just look comically poor. But unfortunately, nothing came together for him or for Kingzone. Notice that we do spy with Alilai Cuz in the booth. So no Peanut. They clearly need a bit more time to work with their jungle, or perhaps just prefer Cuz and what he's been bringing to scrims. The time that he's had, no changes, of course, no ambition. For game number 3 here, and Gen.G versus Kingzone went the way of KSV in spring season when things started. What's going to happen here? We're into picks and bans. Let's do it one more time.
Well, we are switching sides yet again as well. So blue side for Kingzone certainly worked out in game number 1. Is that going to be the tipping point moving into game number 3? We'll see whether the bans are going to stay the same as well. And if they would, then that would mean a Graves ban first. But no, it's going to be Lulu taken as the first ban.
That's a bit of a moral victory for Fly, who had 2 games on the Lulu, and the second time around, things looked a lot better. The Camille could definitely be first picked by Kingzone on the blue side, so that's one that it'll be interesting to track, see if it's left open in this particular draft. No Taliyah jungle. I looked at the patch notes for 8.12, and I hoped and prayed for some nerfs, but when it came to the super fast jungle clear, that's still there. Slight damage down, but not enough on that
Don't do it. You do a little bit less damage to champions, though, Pops.
You see, a little bit less than like 150% overkill of someone's health bar is still an overkill of someone's health bar.
Oh, dang.
And the Master E ban persists, so Haru has been practicing this in solo queue, and Kings don't want to deal with that. Does mean the Camille again goes unpicked. Will they be wanting to first pick it, or will Gen.G consider banning it? Let's see. Where Camille goes, I feel like in the next 3 to 4 picks, she will somewhere be selected.
Yeah, and the Vladimir is another one that stands out here as well. Lucian has been banned every single time in the first round of bans as well, by Gen.G each time. And the Camille is what Kingzone are going to choose. Getting rid of that, just not wanting to even take it for themselves. We know that they have 2 very, very proficient Camille players.
What does that mean for priority, though? That's a question that we're still learning.
Well, Aurelia certainly would be up there.
We've tried not to make too many hard judgments about the meta. We're still learning as things go on. The Graves has been frequently banned, but overlooked in some other drafts. Been a power pick for a couple of patches now. Would definitely be a strong farming jungler choice, and they just will take away the Graves. I feel like if Ambition is the enemy team, a very high priority to take away the Graves. Haru, a Graves player in and of himself, but it's not an impact jungler. It can level 2 gank, but you need CC in the lane to get the most out of the Graves.
Yeah, we'll see whether that CC is going to come from BDD, maybe picking up that Brawn like we've seen so many times elsewhere.
Let's mention one champion that's open. Lucian is open for both teams.
Hey, that's true.
It was not first picked for Kingzone. Will they be on Mordekaiser duty for Prey 3 games in a row? Or will Gen.G consider picking that one up? That is certainly the AD carry that, next to Ezreal, inspires the most fear.
Well, CoreJJ is once again going to pick up the Tahm Kench, and the Ezreal, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Stick with the lane that did them oh so much duty, but I have a feeling Prey is going to be calling for a marksman of his own this time. Now, was it just execution? Was it just Camille throwing a wrench in the plans and that Mordekaiser was supposed to run through? That is a question that only Kingzone can answer, because we still have more questions than answers at the start of the season. Is it Nunu Karthus time? Kingzone DragonX?
And then where do they play the Graves? That top lane Graves?
Well, suddenly things are getting interesting. Could just be a Karthus, but doesn't seem to inspire the same fear as Kingzone are really playing with our hearts with some of these sections. And also, what about Karthus with a support in the bot lane?
Hey, true. That could be a Mordekaiser in the mid lane, potentially. Or maybe it's Karthus Mordekaiser bottom lane. I don't know. I'd ship that. That sounds fun.
This is why we're on the back foot when it comes to the meta predictions. We're like, okay, interesting to see both those champions there and the Graves. Somewhere Trace is watching this being like, guys, remember my top lane Graves?
Yeah.
And they'll be like, no, that was ages
Defile
ago.
plus Harvest of Sorrows, though. That is AoE damage up the wazoo.
Karthus does kill a Drake fast for Mordekaiser to steal.
Very true.
Now, one thing to notice, mid laner doesn't have Smite. And we did see Karthus with Smite, Nunu with Smite situation. So we're suddenly, again, taking our time, breathing, We could have 9 matches today, Atlas. We need to be doing that anyway. Our caster technique needs to be on form to get the same sort of stamina. Speaking of stamina, undefeated Jace sadly will not be returned to by Khan this game.
I have a feeling Jace wouldn't have been the greatest pick as well, because if you have a look down the roster of Kingzone, they've got a wall for CC. That is it. They're going to need to pile some CC from elsewhere.
Excuse me, they have a
the
smoke
ultimate
screen.
CC? Oh yes, there is certainly the smoke screen. That's true. I'm sorry. They've got all the CC that they want. Jace would have been the best pick. Karma
like,
going to be banned away though from Fly.
Yeah, Kingzone have decided that Fly can only play utility champions, banned away the Karma and also the Lulu. I must admit, I'm still waiting with bated breath for the Talon, but I don't think this is the game. As the Darius will see a respect ban as well. Seems like QV is saying, I would just like to play Ornn in the next pick, please.
Well, I mean, he's got Gangplank already.
Likely, you're
Most
right.
likely. That's true. I mean, does anyone have anything yet?
I really don't know, Atlas, but I think you're right on the money. Probably going to be the Gangplank top lane, and Darius can run over the GP.
Ooh, this is a cute one. Fly has been playing the Lissandra, but certainly was a historical pick for him.
Definitely a classic, but will we see an old one from Fly or a new one? That's what we're wondering when it comes to Fly, is jungle pick still needs to be selected, and with the Camille gone, gotta say Xin Zhao does a pretty good Camille impression.
Yep, and he's going to lock that one away. Kuz is already on the grave, so we'll see what that matchup is going to entail. And there's the Alistair once again. This could just once more be that bottom lane that we were talking about. And if you want CC, the cow has certainly got it in spades.
Where is Karthus going? Seems like a solo lane. Could be outside chance at top. Mid lane is our first prediction. Vladimir loading on another ability power threat. We still got Flex City going on here. We're thinking top lane Vlad, though. It's been that old Gangplank buster for the longest time.
Also the most played for Khan in solo queue in recent days.
So that's what we're going to say. Big smiles. Will we see something old or something new? It's the old. He's going to take it. He's going to take it away from BD and say, I do it best.
Well, that's a lot of damage coming out from Gen.G as well. I mean, it's a traditional bottom lane with an AD carry, but this is a Gen.G where they've got damage across the rift, and Haru leading the charge from the jungle position with the Xin Zhao. And we know that, yes, Haru certainly did sit back to role player in the last season, but game 1 was phenomenal from Haru. Can he just continue that run?
You also look at a game like this, and let's say Haru gets a flash out of Karthus. Flash or no, Aurelion Sol goes elsewhere, and Karthus stays mid. It's always been the way with the Karthus. Immobile from the mid lane, doesn't even have a smite to follow Anunu in this particular game. So this is the sort of game where we could see a tip-top performance from Fly and really silence any haters on him coming into this Gen.G lineup.
Yeah, and there's a lot of scaling coming out from Kingzone as well. It's not necessarily something that we talk about all the time with Kingzone compositions. They have a lot of control in the early game a lot of the time. However, this time around, you've got Vladimir, you've got Karthus, even Graves has, you know, some great late game power.
Alistair's initiating, everyone else just fighting with damage. That's what they've got.
Exactly.
Damage in spades on both sides of the rift. This should be a fun one. It's been close between the two teams.
Yeah, it's really exciting, but guys, it all comes down to this. Game number 3, Gen.G taking on Kingzone, and this could actually shape how the debut of both of these teams is for Summer Split 2018 LCK. Let's do it. Here we are, Summoner's Rift, for the final game of this series. If history's going to repeat itself, Gen.G are going to take this match. Kingzone looking to rewrite that script.
Looking to do it with a teleport, Karthus. Had Ignite during Champion Select, and we thought, okay, you know, cool story, where's the exhaust at? Doesn't go exhaust, goes teleport, which is very risky when you're facing Aurelion Sol Xin Zhao. First time this series, you'd say that Gen.G have a pretty strong advantage in the 2v2. Game 2 was competitive. This one is definitely triumphant from the Xin Zhao and the Aurelion Sol. And it's Fly's Aurelion Sol. We lost our Aurelion Sol player when he went over to North America 1 year ago. BDD wasn't able to get it going in game number 2 of this series. And Fly, famous for this pick. We saw Kingzone look for a late invade top side in game number 1. Sniffing around this time as well.
Well, you can see they are all just going to move into the jungle here as there are pings coming out, and that's going to be Prey actually in the mid lane already. Very confusing. BDD's going to swap down, and this could be the little bit of Gouda that we were looking for.
We said Mordekai's a mid lane. Not like this is the case. It's going to be a duo mid lane.
2v1 mid.
2v1 mid, and remember, that means that Alistair's still getting full experience because of the passive from Mordekaiser. So Alistair's going to be getting the user space. Ward gets full, and 1v2 Karthus is coming out this game.
And I thought CoreJJ was a chef in this skin. You don't eat Skittles if you're a chef. Come on, dude.
I feel like
you have much higher taste than that.
And I feel like Karthus does everything except standard 1v1 lane. He either follows the Nunu or he 1v2s.
Oh man, if Gorilla had got that with a headbutt, he didn't have headbutt. He's level 1.
Again, to clarify the interaction, Mordekaiser gets full experience. Alistair's still sharing, of course, because he's in a duo lane. But what does he have access to? He gets level 2. He pops in with the Graves. We mentioned that Graves only needs CC on his ganks. Alistair can go wherever he pleases, and that's why we see a counter rotation attempted by Gen.G.
Now the wave's going to crash once again on the bottom side of the map. Has reset. So we'll see what BDD is going to do now as Ruler CoreJJ are just going to straight switch. And Fly is going to move down to the bottom side. We've got 2v2 mid happening.
Do we? Because I don't see Prey and Gorilla in mid.
3v1 top, CoreJJ, that's 3v2 top?
There's 4 people top.
Oh god, okay, Prey's gonna move his way in. This Pirate is very sad. Does land some barrels there, but Gorilla, he's an extraordinaire when it comes to tanking up the turrets. And that is gonna be first blood going over, but Prey immediately feeds one back. This tower doing so much work as Ruler. He's at full health. They're going for CoreJJ, but he eats himself a Vladimir. And now BDD's turned up. Ruler in a lot of trouble, has to flash to get himself out as Haru looking for Gorilla, but the wall of pain is there and can BDD actually get any kills? In comes Fly. There's the orbit as he picks up the kills. A second one comes down, and that's actually a double for Ruler. It all goes the way of Gen.G as everyone's dead on Kingzone.
Kingzone DragonX mess it up horribly. They go for the turret dive, but consider the interaction. Graves can't do damage behind that turret. That is where the gangplank was positioned. He had nowhere to flash to because he wants to be behind a structure to stop the Graves from being relevant. Juve lives a long time, and then a level 3 Mordekaiser is tanking a turret, and it's all gone to hell, Atlas.
Yep, in a handbag. Skuz gets a cute little smite here, but CoreJJ with his offensive devours in the last 2 games is really showing why Tahm Kench is great into these melee lanes.
And Kingzone was spotted so early making this play. Tahm Kench noticed it as they were trying to go for the 4v1 collapse. There was too much extra time for Gen.G to make their adaptations. The turret dive played as well as Juve could. Big applause coming from the Gen.G fan base. Kingzone DragonX already find themselves 1,300 gold down.
Yeah, and Haru now 2-0-1. Skirmisher Saber already completed with the longsword. Oof, this is really, really scary. There's Gorilla and Prey have to deal with this Ezreal, who's also huge. Thankfully, only has that tier to pick up as Khan. Okay, the orbit is down, has to flash to get back underneath the turret, and Fly just turns around. We'll just continue clearing out this wave.
Amusingly, the only person with flash available was the one that the Xin Zhao was ganking. Everyone else was a free kill, of course, with Xin. Red buff, 2 kills, longsword to add on to the Skirmish Saber.
CoreJJ once again, right place at the right time. Haru going to be able to pick up that Rift Scuttler very easily. Has the double buffs like you were talking about. Spotted out with that Scryer's Bloom.
Shame we don't have a percentage of time in lane stat because Kingzone's pretty damn low in this particular game. Haru looking to solo down the Ocean Drake, given that he has so much gold already. Going to be a trivial thing for him.
Gorilla and Prey trying to get some lane presence here in this mid lane. You can see it's once again the vision show for Gen.G on the bottom side. Right next to this mid lane, you've just got a line of wards, 2 of them being control wards. So Haru just very comfortably able to take this one down.
Definitely like an Ocean Drake, given how much action there's been early. There's been a lot of damage that needs to be shrugged off, and the boots are being packed by everyone. Boots 2 on Mordecai. The Swifty's already done for Fly.
Yeah.
Gen.G was second to the previous fight, but because they knew about it, they were able to clean up pretty extensively. BDD versus QV is your featured matchup.
also feel like Haru is going to have so much opportunity to get work done this game. We talk about these sort of melee, sort of assassin flavor of champions, and often you've got CC on the opposing side, so it's quite difficult. This time around, Kingzone, their CC was the Death Chamber this game, and it's going to be more difficult given how that early game play played out.
In Alistair we trust is what they've got for initiation.
Yeah.
The flash up, things could happen. The flank from the Vladimir also could potentially be an engage, but getting value from the Mordekaiser. A third game in a row. Surreal to see one of the best AD carries in the world in Prey not call for a marksman the third game and try to once again follow this strategy. Now this was clearly about the mid lane duo of Mordekaiser and Alistair trying to open up the roaming for Gorilla in particular, but they were too greedy. Their hand was in the cookie jar so obviously. People could see it. Everyone knew they had their hand in the cookie jar. They went for it anyway, and it's that brazen oversight that has really led to already a bit of an uphill task for the lineup.
Yeah, and Prey has hit that level 6 mark, so the Children of the Grave is available. We've got Aurelion Sol moving up this river as Haru is going to get his way in there, but Gorilla, you were talking about it, is the only one you don't want to engage onto, but there's the Cannon Barrage, and they are still going to be able to take him down. Cuvée grabs it with the pirate ship. Kingzone just have to back away. They had no options there with a great collapse from Gen.G.
And they have a Aurelion Sol, a Gangplank ultimate. They're going to soon have the Abyssal Voyage as well. Kingzone are getting outnumbered when they need to be the ones piling on the advantage. To get around things like a lack of initiation. You want those Drakes? You need those Drakes. Couldn't get any in game number 2 after monopolizing them in game number 1. Right now, getting anything other than the minions under the turret is looking like a struggle.
Yep, feels like the download has been complete from Gen.G. Kingzone just haven't really adjusted to a new playstyle as now Haru, he's going to go in on a Khan. He still does have the pull available. Hemoplay comes down as well as Cuz. He's boosted over the wall, but he's just going to get eaten once again by the Toad. And Haru, yes, he's taking some damage here. Cuz doing some work. Requiem will be able to finish him off. Nope. No, it won't, because the ultimate's going to keep him alive. And Kingzone just don't seem to have any answers at all.
Kingzone's only background track is Yakety Sax Atlas.
Yep, and now Prey and Gorilla not going to be able to do too much more either. Ruler's just going to be able to land these auto attacks, and he's diving. He's got a Children of the Grave on top of him. He's still going to fall not very low whatsoever. CoreJJ just activates the Grey Health to stay alive. Now blue buff going to be stolen away by Fly, and it's just all too easy from Gen.G. How are they doing it again?
I think it's more, honestly, for me, about what Kingzone are doing. They look all at sea, Atlas. After game 1 came together, they started with a good lead. We're seeing a team that's just making silly mistakes. We saw Khan walk up and invite an audacious charge from the Xin Zhao when the Xin Zhao was already 2-0-1 to begin that passage of play, and you might freeze the point and say, oh, but they had Cuz coming. Oh, but they have a Requiem. We're too early in the game for the Requiem to matter, and he lost his whole health bar, died during the pool, and then one by one, the dominoes continued to fall to the tune of 9 deaths in 9 minutes for a back-to-back LCK champion.
Yeah, Haru also having the invincibility of his ultimate was pretty handy, that situation as well. If they are fighting, Haru does have that way of getting out of that Requiem damage that can be so difficult to deal with. We're going to be having a look at it right there.
Just clarifying the interaction where you have to be inside the range, and that includes the Karthus. So sorry, mate, that all not so useful.
Yeah. Well, Prey, he's going to move up to this mid lane, continue trying to push things out if he can, but CoreJJ just wants to go up and start licking him. It just makes it really, really hard for these melee matchups to work. Tahm Kench, I feel, is working out incredibly well. I think a lot of this has to do with CoreJJ the last 2 games. Tahm making things hard. Not to mention everything else going wrong. Of course, as speaking of going wrong, Cuz has to use the ultimate, use everything to try and get out of the way as the Cannon Barrage going to guarantee the death of the Graves and the cow as well as Gorilla follows suit. Gen.G, what more can they get at this point in the game? It's only 10 minutes in, and already 5,000 gold is the lead.
And you just need clarity on some of the decisions being made by basically everyone on Kingzone. They face check when Karthus and Vlad are both under turrets farming and can't rotate anyway. Khan has to flash defensively as Haru looks in and sees if he can kill down the Vladimir. Speaking of killing the Vladimir.
Yep, that is going to be the Abyssal Voyage, but
it's
no
just
one's
Tahm
with him yet. CoreJJ just wants to be able to eat him. There's the Devour coming down, and Fly says, yeah, I guess I'll take the kill, and he does so very easily.
4JJ is a true carry this game. Didn't think the Tom Ken, so I thought the other 4 people would be the carries. 1, 1, and 8. Thank you very much. Eating up people offensively. BDD, all he can do is farm. To what end, Atlas? Because another goal. They've died 12 times in 11 minutes. Gen.G have gleefully accepted the mistakes, but every time Kingzone have tried to do something left of center, Gen.G's been one step ahead.
Yeah. We're going to have a look at this once again.
Consider where Vlad and Karthus are when this starts. Vlad is under turret. Karthus is farming under turret. Requiem isn't even available. Why are you face checking? Sure, you saw one person go back, but you do not know where the rest of the enemy team is. You certainly do not know where the Xin Zhao is. Just a very poor mistake by the side of Kingzone.
Yeah, really unfortunate stuff, and weren't ready for that particular gank because, honestly, almost this whole series, their vision has been abysmal. They haven't been able to understand where Gen.G are, and they're just going to kill the Karthus underneath the turret. Cuvée grabs that with a parlay at the end. Prey's going to suffer the same fate. The ultimate goes off. That's what's going to save him. But the flash forward, almost enough with the E, but it's not quite there for Ruler.
Gen.G are flexing on Kingzone, Atlas. They are flexing on our double champions. Fly wants to kill Prey under turret. Wants to give him a receipt, perhaps. Is the ultimate up? He's going to go for a blind ult. He doesn't go for it.
Doesn't know quite where the Mordekaiser
May
is.
not have been able to kill. Mordekaiser ended up about 200 health after all of that. Gorilla's not going to delay this turret being taken down too much. The gold lead. It's absurd. Look at the gold lead. It's 7,300 at 12 minutes.
Yeah. We're heading for a 15-minute, 10,000 gold lead, which is insane.
Well, if you had an early bedtime, about 11 p.m. in North America after Game 1, said, I've seen enough, I don't know about this Gen.G team, well, I think the question's going to be much more on the side of Kingzone. When all is said and done, it's another comp that doesn't scale into the late game particularly well. Vladimir and Karthus will certainly do magic damage. Marksman is on the side of Gen.G. Bounce damage types are on the side of Gen.G. The advantage is basically completely cemented on the side of Gen.G. And how about a second Ocean Drake to make things nice and simple?
Yep, not a lot of that poke damage going to be sticking now as 405 for Fly on this Aurelion Soul. He's got 10 stacks on his Dark Seal as well. Once again, it's a great game for Ruler, but it's everybody else that's also feeling that. Maturity Force done for Cuvée as well as that Hex Drinker, and oh man, you almost can't stop listing all of the positive factors for Gen.G, and you can't quite find any for Kingzone, so I'm just not even really going to try. I guess, you know, Prey's got his stick.
Here's the only question I have left for this game. Your Fly scored on in game number 1, got to laugh in the face of the enemy in game number 2. You got a lot of stacks on your Dark Seal. And wouldn't the Mana Magi's, and yes, I'm talking about good and bad manners when I say the Mana Magi's, be oh so sweet.
The Mana Book.
Against your old lineup.
Have seen it.
The old adage was, well, I had 1,200 gold, what else was I to buy?
Exactly.
He has 1,300 gold, Atlas.
And he has got his little Raptor Cloak as well, and you probably want to keep that as a Raptor Cloak for as long as possible, because it just color coordinates so well with the Swifties and the Rod of Ages, so I think Magi's has to be purchased here.
Look, if you have as good an early game as Gen.G does, color coordination can be a top priority.
Yeah, well, the top priority that Kingzone had in the early game certainly didn't work. I feel like anything is better than that, as Gen.G will just easily, handily take his outer turret on the bottom side of the map. The Hemomancer on the bottom side just cannot do anything. Khan having a really rough game on this Vladimir.
Could you point to me the person on Kingzone who's having a good game?
No.
I mean, Peanut hasn't done anything wrong for once.
Yeah, Peanut having a great game.
Well, they continue to push up in every lane. Shelly gets charged onto the bot lane in a turret. BDD trying to farm his first item. Unfortunately, no Rod of Ages for him this time. He's going for the instant power of the Merlinomicon.
Yeah, Prey just taking so much damage here underneath this turret. That range advantage is just insane. And it's the 2-item spike for Ruler as well, coming in at exactly the right time. Prey still too much damage being taken. And yes, he gets some health back here as Ruler's just underneath the turret as Cuz. Man, the Devour there just gives it so much power, gives so much power to Ruler. The fact that he can just do whatever the heck he wants.
It almost feels like we have to explain why Ezreal as a marksman is pretty good. Like, for the range, he does it from such safety, the poking.
Yeah, Why does he play Caitlyn? It's even more ranged, Papa Smithy.
Madness, Atlas. We'll never see that champion. Well, the off-meta Ezreal really popping off in this game.
I like it.
I feel like this season is only facetious statements. There are no hard statements, only facetious ones.
Well, I mean, I feel like 8.11 was kind to Ezreal. Even though, yes, a lot of the stat nerfs were in there, he still managed to get a lot as far as itemization was concerned. So still feeling okay is the old Ezreal. However, everyone else is just having a real rough time, but not as rough as Kingzone right now. And it felt like the comp was a little bit greedy to start things off, but then they go for the ridiculously greedy play in the early game. Straight up doesn't work.
Well, Muramana completed next to the Trinity Force. The damage numbers. Yeah, Ezreal ranged marksman thing's doing pretty well.
Yeah, the ranged marksman, Papa Smithy. That's crazy. Well, it's working out very, very well.
I wonder how you VOD review this game as Kingzone, where it's like, this turret dives when we were spotted by the enemy team seemed to be that
Prey, can you play a ranged champion maybe? Have you done that before in your career?
I'm sure we'll see some adaptations. We'll see Kingzone DragonX later in the week.
You can already see them as spooky ghosts is being picked up by Khan. The Twin Shadows rush from the Vladimir.
Not sure about that one.
I'm sure that it didn't really matter what he bought.
That's true. I mean, FLICKR played a Conqueror Vladimir game in solo queue, so questionable Vladimir decisions have been made.
We've seen a lot of things actually being picked up by Vladimir because, I mean, even this Airy is not something that you normally see on the Vlad. True Shot Barrage is going to be walked into by Prey.
Fly's decided he doesn't want to be shouted at by the coach for anything, so went for Banner of Command before the cheeky Magi's.
Well, there's the Abyssal Voyage. Is Core JJ just going to head towards the top side of the map? They're going to take down all of these inner turrets. It is still Gen.G, remember, so the textbook victory going to come in. But 18 minutes into the game, and it's a, what, 14,000 gold lead? It's just, it's unfathomable.
I mean, it's 2.5 items to 1 for basically everyone.
Yeah. I can't remember the last time I saw a lead this big.
Never.
Yeah.
Remember, there's a lot of gold in the game right now, so the gold leads come early in a snowball meta when you make terrible decisions, and you also have no fallback plan, because in the past it was, well, eventually an 80 carry has 4 items. There ain't no 80 carry. The Maw of Malmortius on 3 people will be there at some point, so sorry, Karthus and Vladimir, it's not going to be enough. And you just lose.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen this script, though, before, Papa, and Gen.G having the biggest snowball in history is not part of that script. That is just not, that's not their MO.
No.
It certainly is today, and my God. I think Ambition can probably spend a little bit more time with his family, because I'm absolutely loving what Haru is bringing to this team.
Let's see if he can square it up for longer. It's very nice to see. Honestly, we didn't see this at all in spring season, so it's a welcome return for Haru, who was supposed to give ASV, Samsung Galaxy, and now Gen.G something different. That's what he was picked up for, because he is, on paper, the antithesis of the slow farming nature of Ambition. But in a meta that is anything but slow farming, Gen.G have really wised up. I really like the comps they put together the next 2 games. The Ezreal has allowed them to have a marksman that is still able to build a snowball build. A Trinity Force and tier into Mana Moon Ezreal is just fast enough to keep up with bruises rather than something that needs to be used at its advantage like it was previously compared to being outscaled by a crit marksman. Able to show you that Ocean Drake's pretty damn good. Thank you for that, OGN. Translated that one, beautiful to see. That Ezreal's pretty damn good too. Each Q is pretty impressive.
About a bajillion damage. They are going to commit to it, and Gorilla's going to do the same thing. The last-ditch effort here is all 5 members of Kingzone are available, but True Shot Barrage just rips Kingzone apart, and now the flank comes in. Cuvée gonna grab the first kill and the second. It's 4 already as Requiem is, just a little bit of a song at the moment. Not anything to get any kills, and Khan is the only one left standing.
It's a Requiem for a dream, but that dream is a nightmare for Kingzone. They will not be able to bounce back from that loss at MSI. They will go on. You'd have to think to lose here. You can call them earlier in this meta. This one is as over as can be. Fly gonna take down the mid lane. Out of turret. Oh no, he'll show some respect. No, he won't.
Yeah, Khan going to immediately have to go into pool as Fly just wants to try and navigate the orbs, and Khan doing a great job actually. That is all just a ruse Gen.G will easily take down this Baron buff at 21 minutes into the game. Almost a 20,000 gold lead at 21 minutes is absurd.
You're going to see a nice replay here, and this is where everybody's an orbital cannon. I'm including CoreJJ on that, the most bloodthirsty Tahm Kench we've seen in a while. And this was before Haru showed up, Juve showed up. The RSVPs were a bit late. They didn't check their inboxes. They might have been the spam folder for the other members of Gen.G. And then Requiem for a Dream doesn't lead to anything. They rush in. They get basically everything on the map, and the number just got bigger. Atlas, how you feeling about 18,000 gold at 21 minutes?
Not feeling super great because I can't quite comprehend what this means. After Gen.G's Game 1 performance, it felt like it was just the same old story, and now this feels completely the other way around. Wasn't ready to have to make that transition, but got it. They look so good. Once again, have to hand it to CoreJJ. He was sort of solo tanking at the start of that last fight, and they couldn't get through his health bar.
Brawler already one rotationing people. Look at that, that's one rotation, 300 health or so left on the Vladimir.
Yep.
Banner of Command is already down. They're just wanting to slap them. Gen.G, they've already done enough slapping so far in this game, but all that's left is to see that Nexus explode.
Yep, and it's going to be the inhibitors falling in the mid and bottom lane, and now last-ditch effort like we were talking about before, but it's even worse this time because there's so much gold. There's Baroned up minions, there's no cow left on this map. And look, I mean, Karthus is trying to do something. The Defile's down, there's minions to kill, but it looks like these turrets are going to be going down. Cuz standing on the fountain, looking on in horror as history repeats itself for the first match for Kingzone versus Gen.G.
Nexus explodes. Gen.G have smashed Kingzone DragonX. Kingzone had one thing and one thing only. We got the new meta, we got the Mordekaiser. Even the third time around, they were not willing to visit a ranged AD carry, and the Ezreal 2 games in a row with a great supporting cast means that for the second time, when Kingzone has had to face Samsung, then KSV, then Gen.G in their opening match of the season, they have lost.
Yeah. And look, it was after what was a snowballed Game 1 as well. Remember, it was a 2-0. Last time they lost, it was a very different story. This time around, it feels like they just got overconfident and then just swept by Gen.G, who just kept themselves calm, collected, put Haru in, dominated the early game via the jungle, and that was all she wrote.
And it was all these critical plays at around 4 minutes. You think of game number 2, the double gank from Camille. In this game, I love the idea of Mordekaiser mid lane, of Alistair hitting level 2, then being able to roam and invade with the Graves. That part, coaching staff, I love. But the part where they double roam topside and Tahm Kench says, okay, they're definitely coming, I can see them in my face, and you still attempt this 4-man dive. If your execution is anything barring perfect and the enemy team isn't teleporting on time, you get a couple of kills. In this case, those two things don't happen. They lose the maximum, and from there, it was just honestly dotting I's and crossing T's for the eventual Gen.G victory.
Yep, a little bit of arrogance coming out from Kingzone, but just really controlled play coming in from Gen.G. See the man on the right of your screen, CoreJJ, just navigating game after game on the Tahm Kench so nicely. He was always fantastic at the champion, but just feels so useful in this meta full of melee champions.
And I just hope and impress on people at home, do not make full judgments on the meta, on the champions, on the teams. After one best of 3 with 2 regions that haven't started, we are still learning things. Kingzone will come back and be a threat this season. The meta will take different ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
We have no full information about honestly anything other than perhaps that Tullia should be permabanned when it comes to the current situation. As well, once again, now you get 2 pictures to put on your wall if you play the marksman, because keeps pressing that Ezreal button, hope it's not banned. It's still pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's almost the same damage graph as we saw in the last map as well, so really beautiful stuff from Gen.G in game number 3, turning around what was an abysmal game number 1, in turning it into 2 back-to-back destructive victories. I think we could safely call this one a shellacking, given the disgusting gold lead at 23 minutes into the game. 22,000 gold.
I would say it's the strongest victory we've seen over Kingzone. Longshu, the Spirit of the Rocks Tigers, in a very long time. They were made to look substandard. in this particular match. Almost as many deaths as minutes were played. And let's make that glass half full. Gen.G really being able to come back, to bounce back, no longer have ambition to captain the lineup and still make it work. Your MVP of the final game, I thought CoreJJ should get the nod with his bloodthirsty Tom Kench, but Fly, against his old squad, he had to deal with kind of that down moment of seeing BDD, his old protege, pick up that Aurelion Sol. Aurelion Sol was trivial in game number 2, but this Aurelion Sol was dominant.
Yeah, and look at what he's doing in this play. He's moving up the map from the bottom lane. But this goes on for a very, very long time. Kingzone, you felt at the beginning, should have been able to navigate the dive. They got a few of the kills in the early stages, but Gen.G were able to just get themselves back together. And the Aurelion Sol turns up in the nick of time and saves the day.
Sure, there will be Kingzone fans out there that will hope that the Kingzone DragonX that won the LCK final will get back to their old form, their old presence. It's only one best of 3. No story has been written, only just an opening paragraph.
Yeah.
But it's not the greatest paragraph to read, especially with how one-sided this final destruction was. Whereas for Gen.G, a team who seemed very suited for the spring meta, who couldn't make it work, now have a meta where they needed Haru to perform. He performs, so does the new cast. Welcome back, Fly, to the LCK.
Yeah, fantastic debut after they got the cobwebs out in game number 1. And what this is going to spell is that MVP interview. So let's throw it over to Andy for some translation.
Yeah, hello everyone. Gen.G picks up the win over Kingzone, and we are here for the post-game interview. The MVP. First of all, their team name changed to Gen.G, and it's their first official win. So we are now here with the 3 MVPs for the interview. Two MVPs. So would you like to introduce yourself? Haru, you first. Hello, I am Gen.G's sub-jungler, Haru. And Haru, you seem a little nervous right now. But you know, the person standing next to you, Fly, might also be feeling the same. Would you like to introduce yourself? Hello, I'm the newcomer to the team, Fly, and I'm the mid laner of the team. I mean, it's been a long time since we've seen you in the LCK, Fly. And this is not just an ordinary introduction for yourself, but you actually won the game. I mean, if I lost, I think I would have got a lot of criticism. But I think my condition right now is pretty top-notch. Were you confident in your game? Yeah, I was pretty confident. You know, beating Kingzone is definitely very, very nice. You know, you have been in Kingzone roster before in your career. You know, you've displayed a little bit of those, like, you know, showmanship in your games, like taunting the enemy. Was that intentional? A little bit.
일부러 나가기보다는 그냥 각 나올 때 그냥 딱딱 부른 것 같아요. 아 그리고 하루 선수 확실히 오늘 또 OGN에서 처음으로 이렇게 첫 인터뷰 이렇게.
So Haru, it's your first interview in OGN Sangam.
하강석 해설이 처음으로 이렇게 오셨고 뭔가 새로운 막 프로그램도 있는데 약간 어떤 것 같으세요? 잘 하실 것 같으세요?
Do you think Bito, the new interviewer, is gonna do a good job? Yes, I think so. So Haru, you received the MVP in the second set. And now let us talk about the meta, the current meta and the compositions. You know, Gen.G's composition today was not really progressive, but it was the traditional like 80 carry composition. So you know, when you're going into those team fights, were your teammates like ordering you something?
내려오면 그러니까 공격적으로.
No, they didn't really order me anything special. I just went in as usual.
적일 때 공격적이고 이제.
So I try to be aggressive when I can, and I try to defend. I try to be defensive when I can.
또 한타 때 피지컬이나 센스 플레이도 돋보이게 많았는데 준비된
Definitely, your mechanics and your like those sense plays were really good. Like, let's have a look at the highlight.
이때 좀 무섭지 않으셨어요 한타 때?
한타 때요?
I mean, weren't you a little scared this moment?
미안 상황이라서 저희 다섯 명 자체는 아마 자신감
You know, like this team fight, it was really was in favor of us. So we weren't too scared.
이게 좀 더 싸움을 과감하게 하려고 시계를 딱 600원이 있더라고요.
I tried to be more aggressive in the team fight, and I had a stopwatch as well. So things were very calculated.
콜 굉장히 잘하시고 오더 잘하시기로 또 유명하시잖아요. 실제로 그런
Fly, you're also very famous for being a very good shot caller.
제가 생각했을 때 일단 용인이 형만 지금까지 있었을 때 용인이 형만 말을 많이 한 것 같아요.
Until now, Core JJ was the primary shot caller of the team. But now I'm here, so we have better shot calling as overall.
시너지가 날 테니까는 그런 부분을
I guess in terms of synergy, it must be better.
선수의 어떤 갱킹 경로나 심리전 이런 게 되게 눈에 띄었거든요.
How your jungle passing seemed really interesting this time.
바이게를 한 대 쳤는데 그거 바이게 껍질 벗겼으면 먹는 게 매너인데.
You were hitting the scuttle crab, and then you decided to go to the mid lane and kill BDD.
바이게를 먹으려고 했었는데.
I intended to kill. I intended to get the scuttle crab,
이거 콜 이거 미드갱.
and then Fly asked me to gank mid, so I went mid.
플라이 선수는 뭘 보고 하신 거였어요?
It's this moment where he's hitting the scuttle crab, and then he goes right to the middle and gets the kill.
또 많이 해봤으니까 그래서
I've had a lot of experience in the mid lane, and I saw that this gank could be successful, so I called him.
자연스럽게 소울을 번갈아가면서 했습니다.
Okay, so in the second set, BDD picked Aurelion Soul, and third set, you picked Aurelion Soul.
아urelion Soul 요즘 메타에서 참
How good do you think Aurelion Soul is in the current meta?
나의 존재감을 각인시키고 싶다. 두 가지가 좀
Do you think it's a good pick right now?
해주실 수가 있을까요? 플라이 선수가?
아무래도 그 상대가 픽을 좀 이상하게 했잖아요.
The enemies' picks were really like peculiar and off meta.
저기가 이상하다. 이거 젠지 피셜 원딜 안 하는 건 이상하다. 네네.
They didn't go for those traditional compositions.
그래서 그
So-
상대가 CC가 하나도 없는 거예요.
The enemy didn't have any CC,
소를 할까 생각을
so I was wondering if I should play Aurelion Soul.
이제 소를 하라고 해서
And then the coach told me to pick Aurelion Soul, so I picked
솔픽의
it.
활약도 굉장히 눈부시게 됐었지만은 아우렐리언 소울조차도 지휘 가는 걸 보고 많은 분들이 좀 경악.
Aurelion Soul like abusing banner of command. People are pretty flabbergasted.
원래 안 가려고 했는데 간 이유가 이제 좀 총수 사라지더라고요.
I didn't want to go for a banner of command, but it's getting deleted soon in the next patch. So maybe just to reminisce later, I bought the item.
재미있는 것 같습니다.
I see, very interesting.
정글이 루트나 초반 경험치 이런 게 많이 바뀌었기 때문에
A lot of things changed in jungle. The jungle passing and the experience the jungle camps give.
팬분들의 기대에 부응할 만한 시기인 것 같아요. 실제로 지금 요새 어떻게 잘 맞는다는 느낌.
So how do you view jungler in the current meta?
많이 맞는다는 느낌 들고 저는 이제 그 좀 공격적이고 피지컬 있는 챔프를
I prefer those like aggressive junglers and the junglers that require high mechanics.
당분간도 그럼 뭔가 이 하루의 피지컬에 기대해 볼 만한
People have a lot of expectations on your mechanics.
오늘 저희가 이제 뭐 선수들 인터뷰 쭉 나눴는데 마무리하기 전에 이 자리에 꼭 모셔야 하는 분이
So before we finish off,
시국이니만큼
we have one person to invite.
백만 원딜계 희망 국가대표 룰러 선수를 모셔서
Okay, we're gonna invite Ruler here
꼭 한마디를
to have a discussion.
원딜들의 지지가 인정됩니다. 네네. 하루 선수가
The Korean representative for the Asian Games.
지금 원딜
Ruler.
해도 됩니까 안 됩니까? 직설적으로.
저는 솔직히 못해서 안 하는 거라 생각하거든요.
I honestly think the enemies are not picking the traditional ADCs because they are not good at it.
좀 헤맸는데 스크린 몇판 해보니까 원딜 더 좋은 것 같은데 생각 좀 많이.
I've had a lot of scrims and I find that the traditional ADCs aren't all that bad right now.
진짜 많은 원딜 분들이 힘들어하세요.
You know, it's true that the ADC players in solo queue are going through a rough time right now.
저는 진짜로 이 근접 원딜, 근접 원딜이나 새로 나온 원딜들을
그렇죠.
10판 정도밖에 안 해봤는데 다 똥 싸버려가지고.
You know, I've tried those melee champs that are like really good in the current meta, like Mordekaiser and Yasuo, but you know, every time I play them, I strew the game. So yeah.
추천 원딜 좀 있으신가요?
Do you have any suggestions on the ADCs?
약간 좀 전략적인 느낌이라서 이거는 좀 뭐 대표적인
You know,
세 개
this could like leak our strategy. So you know, I'll try to stay confidential, but
카이사까지 뭐 겸비해 주시면
maybe those mainstream ADCs can be like Kai'Sa, Lucian, Ezreal.
모르겠어가지고 어쨌든 원딜들 대표에서 용기 있는 신념 있는 한마디를 해준
You know,
거니까 룰러 선수에게
there was ruler.
이제 어쨌든 젠지라고 새 단장을 하고
Now you guys rebranded as Gen.G.
경기였고 플라이 선수는 또 복귀전이기도 했고
And Fly, it's your return to LCK.
생겼던 것 같습니다. 플라이 선수가 그러면은 또 팬분들에게 마지막으로
And would you like to say a few words to your fans?
기대감할 수 있는 자신감 있는 멘트 한마디 부탁을 드릴게요.
네, 일단 오늘 이렇게 이겼잖아요, 결국.
You know, we won in the end.
분들이 저를 좀 안 좋게 봤을 수도 있고.
You know, I mean, I've received a lot of criticism before.
저희 이제 열심히 해서
And thank you for the fans who are cheering me, and I'll try my best
많이 응원해 주세요.
to show you the greatest performance in the future.
부담을 많이 느꼈던 게 아닌가.
아무래도 또 오랜만에 다시
I mean, Fly must have had a lot on his shoulders for today's game.
아까 또 멋지게 이렇게 얘기해 주셨으니까는 하루원 선수 마무리 좀 멘트를.
And Haru, would you like to say a few words before you go off?
이렇게 첫 경기 저희 좀 깔끔하게 이긴 것 같아서 너무 좋고
You know, I think we won. We had a clean game.
이만큼 이런 식으로 이기도록 노력해 볼.
And I think in the future we'll try to win like how we did today.
첫 시작을 승리로 연 젠지.
Gen.G picking up their first victory in the first game of LCK. And this is the end of the interview. And we'll throw it back to the casters.
Thank you very much, Andy. And thank you very much for the three-person interview. Ruler just escaping an MVP at the end there.
Thank you, Ruler. Leaks it out that turns out Ezreal, Lucian, Kai'Sa.
Who would have known?
You know, apparently not Kingzone DragonX, because they were not aware. They thought only bruises could be the way. 3 games under 30 minutes. Thanks, patch 8.11. Doing us a favor, because actually, Atlas, we are back on schedule.
Yeah, we are.
3 games might put us over our start time, but I think just around 5 p.m. Korean Standard Time, around 15 minutes after this ends, maybe even earlier, we'll be rolling on with some more games. Here's where the ladder stands. Sorry, Kingzone. You are equal second last with Hanwha Life Esports after going down. Guys, if you joined us early for our long match day, Super Wednesday continues. We've still got an old classic full match day and a sick one. A FLICKR Freaks against SKT, the old rivalry. And then KT Rolster and Jin will be the last 2 teams to debut on patch 8.11.
Yeah, and Jin with a lot of changes as well to this roster.
Cacao's back.
Yeah, Cacao's back. We've got Nova on the bottom side of the map as well. Certainly some change-ups, and the changes in the meta are enough for KT. There's no pawn in the mid lane. It's going to be Yukal once again. Certainly the KT roster that we want to see, but what the heck are they going to be playing? Dunno. It's going to be SKT, a FLICKR Freaks after this, though. So, guys, come back. I think it'll be about 15, possibly 20 minutes. So, short break, and then we'll be back for more LCK action. Don't go anywhere.
But you're the criminal. No implication. You're unpredictable. Time to lose control. Hey. invisible. You're on a mission to take the city on. Time to lose control. See you later on in the fast lane, yeah.
Coming up next, Afrika Freaks, SK Telecom T1, 2018 League of Legends Champions Korea Summer Split.